Yo, what is up, guys? So in this video, I'm going to be giving you my playbook, the exact strategy, tools, filters that I use to consistently make money off the sports books. This is not a BS video. I'm not buying picks from some, BS handicapper. Nope. I'm using data-driven, sharp strategies. This is what the pros do, right? Data-driven strategies that actually make money long-term. So I am up over $750,000 in net profit track net profit. That's important because the bet tracker I use, which is called Pickett Sports, I have about 100,000 followers on there. So you'll see every bet I lock in, it's tracked on Pickett. You can go back, you can go through everything. You can't hide bets, none of that BS. I'm up over $750,000. But I've been betting on sports for way longer than Pickett's been around. So my net profit is actually higher than 750 grand, but regardless, that's my tracked verified number. So that's what we'll go with for this video. Let's get into the first strategy, which is called bonus conversion. Okay, so this may be a little confusing, but sports betting is very weird, right? There are hundreds of sports books and fantasy sites that have launched in the US. And obviously, all of these sports books want sports bettors to pick their platform. FanDuel wants you to sign up for FanDuel, not DraftKings, right? All of these books, long story short, are in ruthless competition for customers. So they run promos, right? It's a marketing cost. Sportsbooks know that 97%, unfortunately, right? 97% of sports bettors lose money long term. So a lot of these books give out really lucrative sign-up bonuses, deposit matches, insured bets when you first sign up. But granted, there's a strategy to maximize the profit of these bonuses, and a lot of these books have different sign-up bonuses. For example, on Caesars, they give you a bunch of profit boosts. How do you maximize profit from a profit boost? And you can do that in a high-risk way or a low-risk way. There's also FanDuel. So what FanDuel does is they say, hey, after you sign up, place a bet. If your first bet wins of just $5, you only got to bet $5, we'll give you $300 in bonus bets. So what's the optimal strategy for FanDuel? And what is a bonus bet? Like, are you giving me $300 or you're giving me $300 in bonus bets? So long story short, these books run sign-up bonuses. They also run daily promos. Sportsbooks want to keep you incentivized to keep coming back. So especially for big games like Thursday night football, Monday night football, you'll see books basically giving away free money. I mean, literally, some of these promos are free money, like Sean O'Malley to record one strike. Granted, it only has a max bet size of $10, but literally you log in, you place this bet, it's a free $10. So let's kind of get into how I use the OddsJam promo converter or bonus tool to maximize profits on these sportsbook sign-up bonuses, as well as just the daily promos they have. So here's an example of a FanDuel promo. I mean, they got a ton of promos. So they have a 30% college football profit boost for tomorrow. And in literally 20 seconds with OddsJam, you could convert this promo into a risk-free profit, right, of about $5 or $6. It kind of depends. This can only be used on college football. But basically, if you can turn all these promos in just a minute into $5 guaranteed profit, that's $15 tomorrow in value on FanDuel. And they actually have more promos, so it's actually more like, you can probably make $30 risk-free tomorrow just from the FanDuel promos on the day I'm looking. But they have a college football profit boost. So a 30% profit boost just means, obviously, your odds go up by 30%. So if you bet something at plus 100, it's going to go up to plus 130. So what you can do is you can go to the OddsJam promo converter, and you can see here I put in FanDuel profit boost. Most people, these promos are capped at a max bet size of $25, and then we have a 30% profit boost. Again, some people get $100, some people get $10. It kind of depends on what state you're in, whatever. But what OddsJam is going to do is it's going to show you the best spot where you can use your profit boost and then hedge the profit boost to make a guaranteed profit. So you can kind of adjust, I'm in, Virginia. I don't know why this says New Jersey, but depending on the state you're in, obviously you're going to have different sports books available. But if you use FanDuel and DraftKings, those are the main 2 books in the US. What this tells you to do is put your FanDuel profit boost on FSU minus 57.5. It's plus 480. After the boost, it goes up to plus 624. And then what OddsJam tells you on the promo converter is hedge on DraftKings, bet $150 on Kent State plus 57.5, and you're going to make a risk-free profit of about $6. Okay, so let's kind of go through the math very briefly. If FSU covers, right, if they win by, that's a big point spread, but if they win by 58 or more points, on FanDuel, I'm going to go up in terms of profit, 25 times 6.24, right? I'm getting plus 624 odds. So on FanDuel, I'm gonna win $156. On DraftKings, I'm gonna lose $150, so I'm up $6, right? My hedge bet on DraftKings was for $150, so I'm up $6 in profit if FSU covers the spread. Now, let's say FSU doesn't cover the spread. I'm going to lose $25 on FanDuel where I put the profit boost. And on DraftKings, I'm going to win $150, right? I'm betting at minus 488 odds. So long story short, here's the little math equation. I'm going to win 3074. So regardless of who wins, it doesn't matter. I'm basically just taking this profit boost and converting it into a guaranteed profit of approximately $6. So the OddsJam promo converter, again, depending on the books you use, you may see different plays, but all of these books, DraftKings, FanDuel, run pretty lucrative promos. I mean, there are just countless promos on FanDuel. So literally just going through tomorrow, if I wanted to, I could probably make $50 risk-free, just converting these promos into guaranteed profit. Now, on the other hand, if you have a little bit higher of a risk tolerance, you can do what is called positive EV betting. You can just find the best possible college football bet on FanDuel, where FanDuel is offering the most value. You can add the profit boost in, so you're getting a profitable play. So I'll give you an example, is if I go here, what I can do is I can filter on FanDuel just for college football. So if I put in NCAA, right, college football, you're going to see that's actually the top play that FanDuel is recommending. But again, it depends on how aggressive you want to get. You can kind of customize on the positive EV tool your max odds. So maybe I'm like, I just want to bet on something plus 350. And then you can kind of just pick a play, right? And these bets are all already where FanDuel is giving you the best odds in the market. They're giving you an edge on your play. So maybe like this play, right? Washington State, first quarter money line. It's already plus 310 on FanDuel, which looks pretty solid considering no other book is giving you above plus 280, right? We have all these other data points in the market. So with the profit boost, we're going to get 310 times 1.3 plus 403 odds. So you can just run that as a straight bet, right? You can just run plus 403 Washington State first quarter money line. The bet already has an edge. So basically add 25% to it. And instead of having a 1.5% edge or profit margin, you're going to have like a 26, 27% ROI or profit margin on that wager. And again, you'll have ups and downs when you're EV betting, but that's oftentimes how I use these promos. So obviously in the screen share, I only went through one type of sportsbook promo, which are profit boosts, but books run all sorts of different promos. Aside from profit boosts, they run insured bets, which basically means if you lose, you get your money back. These are also called second chance bets. They run bonus bet promos. Again, bonus bets are a little different from cash, but I guarantee you, I've done a video on it. So if you want to learn more about bonus bets, for example, because a lot of sports books like FanDuel, their sign-up bonus is bet 5, and if you win, you get $300 in bonus bets. What's a bonus bet? How do you maximize profits with it? I've already done a full YouTube video on it. I'll include a link right in the upper corner of the screen, so you can kind of learn about all these different types of sportsbook promos. I mean, there's Limitless, right? There's discounts. For example, on Prize Picks, they run Taco Tuesday. Every single Tuesday, they slash a bunch of players' lines. So instead of getting Patrick Mahomes, let's say, to go over 236.5 passing yards, you'll get him at 190.5. Pretty good discounts oftentimes on all these different books. But one thing I do want to make really clear is, as a sports bettor, as a sharp bettor, you want to use multiple books. I have used hundreds of sports books since I started gambling. Every single day I'm using dozens of books, right? And that's for a few different reasons, right? First of all, we don't know which books are gonna have the best promos on a given day. Sometimes, like I just showed, FanDuel is running a bunch of profitable promos, and you could make $30 risk-free on FanDuel just from their profit boost. Other days, Prize Picks are running really good promos. So it kind of depends. The more books you have, more promos. But also, the sports betting market is extremely fragmented. It's extremely inefficient. So what do I mean by that? Is if you want to buy a stock, right? Like, let's say you want to buy some Apple stock and, you just want to invest. If you want to buy Apple stock, the price is identical, nearly identical. Certain trading companies or investment accounts may have slightly different fees, but if you buy Apple stock on your JP Morgan account, your Robinhood account, your E-Trade account, your Fidelity account, the price is going to be identical, right? The market is very efficient. That is not the case in sports betting. So for example, the Packers against the Browns, that's an NFL game for this weekend. The Browns are plus 400 on a book called Fliff. That's legal in nearly every state. Okay, who cares, right? If you look at FanDuel, they're only giving you plus 350. If you're placing bets at plus 350 when other books are giving you much better odds, another book in your state is giving you plus 400 and you're betting plus 350, you're gonna get crushed long-term sports betting. It's kind of like being a day trader and you have to pay 20% more for every stock, right? You're gonna get crushed. Sports books, making money sports betting, you need to line shop. You need to always get the best value on all of your plays. This is absolutely critical. It's sports betting 101. So regardless of the betting strategy you use, if you use OddsJam and you want to be a sharp bettor and you want to get massive results sports betting, like some of these people you see on the screen, you're gonna need multiple books, right? My results would not be possible if I was only using one sports book. You know what I mean? Like, I make money on all these different books. Some months I lose money on FanDuel, I make money on DraftKings. The more books you use, the better, because all these books run their own promos as well as set their own unique odds and lines. But the second strategy I love, and I recognize it sounds too good to be true, but when I started gambling, I did so much research, and then this was the first sharp sports betting strategy I used to make money off the books, and it made me like $40,000 in 3 months. It is a risk-free strategy called Arbitrage Betting. So arbitrage, it's a simple strategy. It's basically when two books have such different odds, right? All these books set their own unique prices. So out of the millions of odds across sports books, sometimes two books, they're so out of sync where you can bet the over on one book, the under on a different book to guarantee a risk-free profit. So I'll give you an example. Here's a play for Sunday. Cam Scadaboo, his over 10 or 9.5, over 9.5, 10 plus first quarter rushing yards is plus 135 on Hard Rock, which is a book legal in my state of Virginia. It's also legal in Florida. Again, all states have different books. On FanDuel, it's super different. It's minus 110. So these two books are so out of sync where if you just follow an arbitrage calculator, which just shows you how much to hedge, how much to bet on FanDuel, in this case, You know, it's $3.90 on Hard Rock, $500 on FanDuel, and you'll make $26.58 risk-free. Again, you can play with the bet sizes depending on your bankroll, and the hedge calculator or the arbitrage calculator will update. But basically, if you bet the over for $3.90, the under for $500, you're gonna make $26.58 risk-free day trading the books, because Hard Rock and FanDuel are super out of sync. Again, you're looking for the needle in the haystack. If there's millions of odds across sports books, and even just a small fraction are arbitrage opportunities with another book, you can still make risk-free profits every time that you check the OddsJam arbitrage tool. So more books is better. Second thing to mention is, as an arbitrage bettor, you need to move fast, right? Like, these are betting markets. These books are constantly adjusting odds, especially when they get super out of sync. You know, there's a chance Hard Rock updates their odds and are like, yo, we're offering way too much value on Cam. We need to adjust his odds lower. So you don't have unlimited time to lock them in. Speed is important as an arbitrage bettor. You're like a day trader. I mean, I used to be a trader before I started gambling sports betting very seriously. I was a trader on Wall Street. You know, if someone calls you and says, hey, do you want this trade? And it's a super good trade, you can't wait 3 hours and call them back and be like, yeah, I want it. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta make decisions somewhat quickly as a sports bettor. So as an arbitrage bettor, speed is relatively important. And to be clear, you can make a lot of money with this strategy. I mean, you'll see OddsJam customers who literally, because they're arbitrage betting, they're making risk-free profits, they literally don't have a losing day for the entire month. I call it the all green calendar, which is pretty nice. Again, this isn't the only profitable betting strategy, but if you have a low risk tolerance, this is an amazing one, right? You just make free money. Like, there's nothing better than it. So here's kind of an example of an arbitrage bet that an OddsJam user locked in. On DraftKings, he bet on Josh Allen to go under in rushing yards at minus 135. On FanDuel, he bet on Josh Allen to go over 30 plus rushing yards, is the same as over 29.5 at plus 182. These books were super out of sync. So basically, you can see right here, if Josh Allen goes under, he was making 148.14 profit on DraftKings, and he was losing 123 on FanDuel for a net profit of 25.14. On the other hand, if Josh Allen went over, on FanDuel he was winning 223.86, and on DraftKings he was losing $200, which was a stake, so his net profit was 23.86. So basically, he's making money about 23 bucks regardless of the result. Josh Allen rushes for 100 yards, 5 yards, it doesn't matter. He makes money no matter what, right? You are fully hedged. As an arb bettor, you are hedging for a guaranteed profit. And there are, you know, OddsJam customers who perfect this strategy, arbitrage betting, and they make tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, every single month, right? Just day trading discrepancies between books. Some arbitrage bets may make you $10 in risk-free profit. Some may make you $30, $100, right? Like, obviously more money is better, but it's all free money. What's amazing about arbitrage betting is, in general, you're betting on games that day. So for example, this arbitrage bet that Parlay Lab, an OddsJam user, he locked in on Josh Allen. That was a game that day, right? He actually bet on the game while it was going on. It was a live arbitrage opportunity. So basically, you know, an hour and a half or 2 hours later, once the game ends, you're not tying money up for a long period of time. An hour and a half, 2 hours later, whatever it was, he gets his stakes back. He's gonna win one bet, lose one bet. When you're arbing, you're always winning one bet, you're losing one bet. One bet will win, one bet will lose, but you are fully hedged. And because the books are in such disagreement on their prices, you make money no matter what. So basically, you know, you click a couple buttons, 2 hours later, you're up $25 in profit. I mean, seriously, what is better than that? So I'm gonna give you a quick tutorial on how I use the OddsJam arbitrage tool, and then we're gonna move into other betting tools on OddsJam and other strategies. So here's an example of an arbitrage bet, right? Like you can see right here, Onyx Odds has the Packers -7.5, both of these books. This play is between Onyx Odds and Novig, which are two books, OddsJam arbitrage tool, that are available in most states, not every state. But regardless, you can filter in all the books you use here. I'm currently in Virginia, so I have both these sports books. So basically, you can see there's a big discrepancy, right? +110, -128 on Packers -7.5. So this line actually ended up moving to -105, at least when I placed this bet. And I bet this on Onyx Odds for $1,150. So basically this game, it's currently Saturday morning. So in about a day and a half, this game's gonna be over. Both of my bets are gonna settle. And regardless of what happens, the Browns could win, they could lose by 30 points. It doesn't matter. I'm making a risk-free profit of approximately $26. So I put in my stake on one book, Onyx Odds, and again, there's so many sports books. So then what I did is I went over to Novig, which is a site right here. And what's really cool about Novig is they actually don't have betting limits. So you can see Novig is now giving a better price than when I initially locked this in. I initially locked it in at +108 odds. So what I can do is I can change around this calculator. So again, I bet 1,150 on Onyx Odds on the Browns +7.5 at -105. The calculator tells me, hey, bet 1,079.44 on Novig. I rounded to 1,079. It doesn't really matter. Novig, you know, it's a no limit sports book. So there's no reason to round your bet sizes. And basically whatever happens, instead of the bigger number, I should have arbitrage bet this now because now the odds are better. Honestly, maybe I can arbitrage bet it again. I could try to do that. But let me just go through the math of this very quickly. So basically we have Browns +7.5, right? And we have two sports books. We have Onyx and we have Novig, which are two books legal in every state. Again, the more books you use, the better. These are equal and opposite outcomes. One of these bets is going to win. One of these bets is going to lose, right? If the Packers win by 8 or more, Packers will cash. So if the Browns cash, right, I bet $1,150 at -105 odds. So my profit is going to be this. Right here. And then on Novig, I'm going to lose, how much exactly did I bet? $1,079. Sorry, that's supposed to be a negative number, obviously. So if the Browns cover the spread, I'm up 16.24 in profit. The slight difference from the arbitrage calculator is because I rounded this to 1,079. Now, on the other hand, if the Packers cover the spread, they win by 8 or more points. I lose this on Onyx Odds. Day trading the books, you're just day trading line discrepancies to guarantee a risk-free profit. On Novig, I'm going to win 1,079. Here's the formula times 1.08. I bet at +108 odds. So I'm going to win this much. So here's my net profit. Regardless of what happens, you literally don't even care about the result. Regardless of what happens, you make a risk-free profit. Honestly, I don't even know how this arbitrage, now it moved. So they finally adjusted it. But again, the more books you use, the better. You know, you can see here, there's certain books like Hard Rock that are amazing for arbitrage. I mean, look at this play. This is a crazy play. This is a 5.53% arbitrage bet. You know, by the time it's currently Saturday morning, you can make $50 risk-free come Sunday afternoon if you just place these two bets. So OddsJam is just constantly reading in all these odds from sportsbooks. Again, this is fully customizable. You can put in all the books you use. You can filter out books you don't use. But that's basically how you use the OddsJam arbitrage tool. It's not that complicated. You basically just, you know, pull up the little calculator here, you place your bet, and you make a guaranteed profit. So the next tool that I love to use on OddsJam is the middle betting tool. So middles are the low risk lottery tickets of sports betting. At least that's what I call them. So basically, just like all sports books set their own unique odds, and sometimes they get super out of sync, that's why there's arbitrage. All books also set their own lines. So sometimes two books get super out of sync with where they are setting a player's line, and you can bet the over on one book, under on a different book, and have a rare window of opportunity to potentially cash both bets. So that's a middle. I call it a low risk lottery ticket because you're not really risking much. You're gonna win either your over or your under, but you have the potential of winning both bets. So I'll give you a simple example of a play I locked in, a middle bet, which by the way, it cashed and made me a ton of money, is on Prize Picks. They had Joe Milton's line. This was for preseason football, NFL. They had Joe Milton's line at 144 half passing yards. On Bettor, which is just another sports book legal in Virginia that I use, they had his line at 124 half, right? So we have a 20-yard gap. And you have to remember, like, players follow roughly a normal distribution. So what I mean by that is Joe Milton, he's not going to throw for 10 yards. He's not going to throw for 1,000 yards. So where his line is centered, like 20 yards is very impactful. So I bet his over 124 half on Bettor. I bet his under 144 half on Prize Picks. And he did end up falling between those numbers. So I cashed both bets. So that's a middle. OddsJam has a tool for it. It's kind of similar to arbitrage. It's a lower risk hedged strategy. So next we have Sharp DFS Strategy. Okay, so there's a lot of DFS books that have launched in the US, and they work a little differently from traditional sports books like FanDuel and DraftKings. So I use a bunch of different DFS books. The most popular ones that I use are Prize Picks and Underdog Fantasy, but I also use DraftKings Pick 6, Owner's Box, Dabble, Bettor. Bettor is actually Jake Paul's app. And the way that these DFS apps work is they have fixed payouts. So this is really core to beating them, is on Prize Picks, for example, if you take a player to go over or under, you are going to get the same payout. Any 3-pick entry, for example, you're gonna get a 6x payout. So you're betting 100 to win 600. It does not matter in this play if you take Bryce Elder to go over 17.5 or under 17.5, you're still gonna get a 6x payout. So in this slip, I ended up taking Bryce Elder under 17.5 outs because you can see every sports book, every data point you have in the market, from betting exchanges like Novig and ProfitX to sports books like FanDuel, every book has Bryce Elder's under as the heavy favorite. So that's the sharp pick. So you can beat these fixed payout DFS apps like Prize Picks by comparing their lines to sports books. That's kind of the long and short of it, but I'm going to show you how I use OddsJam to essentially capitalize on these discrepancies and make money on DFS platforms like Prize Picks. So here you can see the OddsJam positive EV tool. All this is going to do if you put in DFS books. So for example, if I put in, Prize Picks, Underdog Fantasy, stuff like that, it's going to show you the optimal slip type. Okay, so like for example on Dabble, it says 3 or 5 pick entries. That's the optimal slip type. So let's build a profitable slip. So the first play OddsJam is recommending, just on the positive EV tool, it's just comparing Dabble's line, same thing with Underdog Fantasy to sportsbooks, is James Wood to record a hit. Right, so you can see here on Dabble, the odds are the same on the over and the under, because again, it's a fixed payout book. If you take Wood to go over or under, it doesn't matter. You are going to get the same payout regardless. So maybe let's just build a Dabble slip and let's see what's available. So the second play is Kareem Hunt. This is an NFL play. I don't care what I'm betting on. If there's value, if there's an edge, I will run it. So the second play is Kareem Hunt under 1.5 receptions. You can see on Dabble, he's gone under the past 4 games, but again, it doesn't really matter. Right, like historical data is kind of priced into the market. It's priced into the odds sportsbooks are putting out. And then we have Ladd under 5.5 receptions. So here would be a 3-pick entry on Dabble. You can see I'm getting a 6x payout. And again, if I change James Wood from an under to an over, you can see, if you look at my screen above, the payout on Dabble doesn't change. I'm still getting a 6x payout if I take him to go over or under. So I want to take the over because if you look at all sports books like Fliff and DraftKings, every book is a data point and they all have his over as the more likely or the favored outcome. So this is the slip I'd want to lock in. I apologize. So let me just go ahead and I can do that. And again, sometimes it messes with my verification on my phone. So here's the slip right here. It's going to pull up on my phone. 3-pick entry, 6x payout. James Woods over is heavily favored. If you're confused, like why does OddsJam say -122? -122 is essentially if you go to a parlay calculator. So where's the parlay calculator? If you build a parlay on any sports book where every leg is -122, you're going to be getting a 6x payout. 100 to win 600, 500 in profit, plus 500 odds. So basically, Dabble is giving you -122 odds. Any 3-pick entry on Dabble, same thing with Prize Picks Underdog, they're giving you a 6x payout, plus 500 odds. Payout, right, means betting 100 to win 600, but that includes your stakes, so 500 in profit plus 500 odds. So basically, Dabble is saying any pick on the board for a 3-pick entry is a 6x payout. So that's kind of how I use OddsJam to beat Dabble. Now, I do want to mention that if I go over to fantasy, is OddsJam also shows you line discrepancies. So I'll try to find a simple example. So let me go over to Dabble here and I can actually just copy this slip and we'll get rid of the Kareem Hunt play. They actually already removed it. So here's an example of a line discrepancy. You can see Mac Jones. This is called the OddsJam Fantasy Optimizer. It's good for people who mainly just use these fantasy apps like Prize Picks, Dabble, Underdog Fantasy. Wow, they already removed Ladd as well. So you can see OddsJam is recommending that we take Mac Jones under 231.5. So this is a line discrepancy, right? This is the OddsJam Optimizer, a line discrepancy tool essentially. Every other book has Mac Jones's line way lower, right? They have him at like 211.5 on Caesars, FanDuel, DraftKings. These are multi-billion-dollar companies. They have him around 211.5. So that's a big middle bet, first of all. But also, every book has his line significantly lower. Prize Picks has him at 216.5. So what I can do is just build a slip off of line discrepancies as well. So this play, we have Wan'Dale Robinson. He went crazy last game, so I removed the unavailable pick. And what I can do is I can build a 3-pick entry. So Robinson's line, Dabble has him at 37.5. All these books set their own unique lines. Is I can build another profitable Dabble slip right here. These DFS books, again, they're super exploitable. And, you know, looking for line discrepancies or where books have an outcome heavily favored, you're getting -122 on every pick. That is by far the best way to get an edge. But the final strategy I wanted to go through is called positive EV sports betting, okay? It's called positive EV sports betting. So basically, this is the main strategy I use nowadays. It's not hedged, very similar to fantasy sites like Dabble. They're going to be high risk, high return. you're going to make money over the course of the long run, but you're placing 3-pick parlays. You can actually see on Dabble, you can't run straight bets. They tell you your entry must have at least 2 picks. These are parlay-only sports books, Prize Picks, Dabble, Underdog Fantasy. But very similar in terms of finding odds discrepancies is called positive EV betting, the OddsJam positive EV tool. So here you can see it just points out the biggest line discrepancies on FanDuel. So check out this play on like Terry, over 4.5 receptions. FanDuel's giving us plus 146. No other books giving us above plus 126. So this is a play with value, a play with an edge, with a mathematical advantage. Granted, we're not hedging this, so we're not going to make money every single day when we're EV betting, but we are going to make money over the course of the long run. So what I can do is I can just lock this in once they verify my location and play it, right? This is just a bet with an edge. So it's very similar to like being a hedge fund manager, right? You invest in a bunch of companies, a bunch of stocks. You know there's going to be some losers, but if you actually have a positive ROI, you're going to win, you're going to make money over the course of the long run. Kind of like if you flip a coin, right? If you flip a coin that's 53% to show up on heads and you're flipping that coin with a friend, like let's say it's you and your buddy, you're flipping a coin for $100. The coin is weighted. It is weighted more likely to show up on heads. So obviously, if you're going to bet on it, you're going to pick heads. That's the more likely outcome. But the coin is still 47% to show up on tails. It could show up tails 2, 3, even 4 times in a row. But you know over the course of the long run, you're going to make money. So positive EV betting is essentially finding line discrepancies in the market. You're not going to win every bet. You're not going to win every single day, even when you're plus EV betting. But you know over the course of months, over a large sample size of bets, you're going to make money. So the filters I use when positive EV betting is minus 280 to plus 350. Right? Something like this. I mean, sometimes I change it around, but you want to keep a tighter odds range. And I can give you a very simple explanation as for why. Is as you get to betting bigger and bigger underdogs, the markets get much wider, right? So as the market gets wider, it becomes harder to know if you're getting value or not. So for example, here, the markets are very wide. As the odds become longer, as you get more into tail scenarios, such as the Mets winning by, 2 runs in the 5th inning, these are more tail scenarios, right? So the markets are wider, and long story short, it's harder to know what is fair value. I mean, the best way to kind of explain it is look at this play on Kent State, right? Like, let's say someone says your house is worth $1,055,000. It's worth somewhere between, that's basically what Pinnacle is saying is, hey, this is plus 1055 minus 2665. They have a 1,600 spread, right? It's kind of like if someone tells you your house is worth between $1 million and $2.6 million. It's like, well, that's a super wide range. So what do I sell my house for? If I get an offer for $2 million, should I sell my house? I mean, granted, that's a pretty expensive house, but you get the point. Like, it's a wide market. Whereas when you focus on, narrower odds ranges, like let's say even if you want to get more conservative, minus 150 to plus 150, typically the markets are much tighter, right? So if you look at Jamar Chase, these are 50-cent wide markets. Your house is worth between $110,000 and $160,000. It's a tighter market. So it's easier to see, hey, FanDuel's actually giving me good value. So I keep a tighter odds range on my OddsJam positive EV tool settings. But regardless, I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions, email me, comment. We went through a bunch of different tools. And again, thank you so much for your time.